Hi, my name is Tracey West and I am a resilience and wellness coach and run the Purple Hat Coaching Company. I take a very holistic view to my practice and have achieved many qualifications in nutrition, exercise, mindfulness, wellness coaching and emotional intelligence. I'm here to answer the question or the statement, if you could share one piece of advice on how to help your clients manage their emotions in a divisive world, what would it be? Well, this question takes me back to the subject of emotional intelligence and, more importantly, the competency of self-awareness. It is here that I believe lies the answer to this question. What is self-awareness? Well, it's your capacity to understand your own emotions and stay in touch with your feelings. It includes self-knowing, the ability to recognise how your feelings and emotions impact your personal opinions, attitudes and judgments, and straightforwardness, the ability to communicate your feelings, thoughts and beliefs openly in a straightforward way. This cluster of competencies really enables you to show up as your authentic self. Now, many individuals believe they are more self-aware than others perceive them to be. Sometimes I see evidence a lot in the assessments that I carry out with my clients. So how do we develop this competency and how would it benefit a divisive world? Your responses to people and situations may be positive or negative, but remember, most of your feelings are linked to emotional needs. Negative feelings are often linked to unmet emotional needs. Think about your judgments of others. This quite possibly is deflecting from similar judgments of yourself. Positive feelings are often linked to situations in which your needs have been satisfied. So begin to notice what you're feeling and doing as a situation starts to happen. Introduce a brief pause to check your emotional pulse. Learn to recognise how your emotions affect you in the moment. Become a witness to your thoughts and notice physical signs that accompany a particular feeling. Try to suspend judgment of yourself and others and take an honest look at what you are thinking and feeling and identify what you need and why you react the way you do. So there are several ways in which you can do this. One very common way and one that I do suggest to many of my clients is to write a journal. And to do that as often as you can remember, not for very long. Maybe have it by your bed at night and just before you switch the light, you just debrief your day. But this way you can actually start to see if there is a pattern to your behaviour, if there's a pattern to what triggers you, either with a negative emotional reaction or a positive one. You can also pull in the help of a dear trusted friend to talk to. Talking and reflecting on what you are feeling and dealing with is equally as good as writing a journal. So talk to a friend or a coach. Or you can ask that friend to give you some feedback. If you've been out together and something has happened where you believe that you've had a difficult conversation or a different circumstance has arisen, get them to give you some feedback on the body language that maybe you displayed. And a final bit of advice here, and one that I have found really valuable, is developing the practice of mindfulness, because mindfulness has a really great way of getting you to view the present situation. And I think in a world where most of the Western remedies is to sort of move away from the distress or distract you from the distress or the difficult emotional reaction that you're getting, mindfulness actually wants you to focus in on it and get better at dealing with that emotion. So for the remaining part of this presentation, I'm just going to talk you through some mindfulness practices that will help increase your self-awareness and in turn help you be more aware of your emotional reaction to certain circumstances or people in your everyday life. Strategy is actually facing into that difficulty or that fear or that uncomfortable feeling, and just taking a pause and sort of distancing yourself from that reaction and actually giving it a name. So what I'm feeling right now is anxiety, or I'm having a really angry feeling at the moment. At the very least, when you are having that uncomfortable feeling, take a breath, breathe and calm yourself, and then just get better at identifying when you are feeling uncomfortable. The second practice within mindfulness is that of being present, being in the here and now. A lot of our concern, our worry, our fear is based on what's either happened in the past or what's about to happen in the future. And when you can identify that that's what you're doing, all you need to do is slowly draw yourself back to the current moment. Focus on what is actually happening for you at that moment and breathe to that uncomfortable moment and accepted what you found there. You can actually start to step away from the emotion and observe what's happening. And this is really good at beginning to name and explain the thoughts and the emotions you are experiencing. Funnily enough, this actually has a calming effect on your emotions, and it does help you become less overwhelmed by them. So you've identified that uncomfortable feeling, you've pressed the pause button, you have stepped away, taken a look at what's happening, given it a name. The next thing is to, as the famous song in the Disney film Frozen, let it go. Let go of that tendency to be judgmental. And that's what mindfulness is all about. It's a way of reducing your suffering and reducing the degree of attachment that you have on certain objects and outcomes. And when I say let go, it's letting go of your kind of default tendency to react in the way that you do. And this is probably created over years and years of experience and of belief that certain things will happen if you behave in a certain way. And by being really present in the moment and dealing with what you see in front of you, you can let go of the old you and the old way of reacting. Dealing with difficult emotions mindfully then begins with turning toward your experience in the present moment, however difficult. When you take the lid off and have a look inside yourself, mindfulness encourages you to examine your experience dispassionately and accept what you find. Treat yourself kindly with compassion and integrity according to your cherished values and act accordingly. This leads to greater flexibility in your decision making and generates increased emotional freedom and a more peaceful mind. To finish, I just want to draw your attention to a book that I read last year by the great Brené Brown called Braving the Wilderness. A fantastic book that talks a lot about how we deal with dehumanization and polarization in the world today, and how we can show up in a self-aware, calm, curious way to find out more about what is happening around us and allow us to make a more conscious reaction. But there was a bit of a quote that she said in a talk that I watched following the book release. And it's just simple. Take responsibility for the energy you put into the world. Now, by doing some of what I've said today, you can do that. You can show up in a present, calm, and emotionally intelligent way. Thanks for listening.